Hello, friends, and welcome into NFL Daily. I am your host, Tom Downey. A little bit different of a setup for me today because I am coming to you from the NFL Combine. I'm out in Indianapolis, and today we're taking a look at some of the top prospects to watch. We'll go position by position, beginning with the quarterbacks, and yeah, I want to see what Joe Burrow has to say about the Bengals, but I'm looking at Tua Tagovailoa because of the medical. Now, there are three main phases to the NFL Combine. There's the medical side of it, a big deal. There's the interviews with teams, also a big deal. And then the testing, which is I still value, but probably a little bit less than the other two there. We know Tua's a good player. We've seen what he's done at Alabama. He's really good at football. It's all about the medical for Tua. It's not often you see a top 5, top 10 draft pick that will be made less by the front office and the scouts and the GM and a little bit more by your team doctor. Because if you don't trust Tua to stay healthy, you cannot spend a top 5 pick on him. If you think he's going to be limited to a handful of years, he's going to tumble. Now, the update from Tua, the most recent one, was the 3-month CT scan, was that the hip fracture had fully healed. But that also came from Tua's camp. And in theory, we'll decide if we want to believe the leaks that will come out, we'll know how healthy Tua is with a more neutral party NFL Combine medical check. I'll tell you what, Tua's camp wasn't going to release any bad information. If there is stuff, we'll find out about that. But it's not just the hip for Tua. It's also the ankle injuries. He's dealt with those at Alabama. Now, he already went through his weigh-in at the NFL Combine, 6 foot 217, good hand size at 10 inches there, unlike tiny hand Jake Fromm. Tua, it's all about the medical. He's not going to throw. He'll interview with teams, and that'll be a big factor too, but the medical is going to be the critical part for Tua at this year's NFL Combine. All right, moving on now to the running back side of things. I'm going to focus in on Cam Akers, and I wonder if Akers could have a bit of a stock up after this NFL Combine. He played behind a just horrific FSU offensive line. It was not good. So in theory, what we're going to see from Akers this week is we're going to see a really good athlete, especially at his size, and we're going to talk ourselves into, if we're not already there, because I kind of am, hey, put him behind an NFL offensive line. He's going to be better because his blocking won't suck. I mean, so much of Akers' yards came after contact that was far too frequently behind the line of scrimmage. I am expecting an impressive show from Cam Akers, and I certainly hope I end up getting that. All right, some other running backs to check out this week at the Combine. A.J. Dillon's a massive human being, and he's probably going to run way faster than he should. I guarantee you NFL Network will throw up the side-by-side, A.J. Dillon and Derrick Henry, and frankly, they're not going to look all that different, even though Derrick Henry is a much better prospect. I like Zach Moss, the running back out of Utah. I need to see if he can actually stay healthy. That's been an issue for Zach Moss, so the medical is going to be huge there. And then I just want to see Jonathan Taylor at 220-plus pounds run some crazy 4.4 40-yard dash time. The dude's got wheels. I am excited to see what he can put together at this year's Combine. Now, as we go through more prospects, maybe I'll shout out the guy you are excited to see at this year's NFL Combine. All kinds of names. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section, and then assuming I got some extra time to kill here in Indianapolis, I'll slide in and mention what I think of those players as well. I will make that the pinned comment, so if you're watching on YouTube, you hear the ad break here, scroll on down, reply to the pinned comment, and let me know who you are most excited to see or watch at the NFL Combine. On to receivers, and I went with two because it was impossible to pick only one. We'll start with Laviskah Shenault. Just quick aside, this year's receiver class is so good. I love it. Now, as we've discussed before on the show, we know it's a great class. We've also discussed Shenault's injury history. That is a huge red flag for him. He was a bit banged up entering the Combine. Checked in today at 6 foot 5/8 inches, 227 pounds. Pretty decent arm length and wingspan as well. He's got toe and shoulder and all kinds of other ailments that he's had. I am curious to see how fast he runs because he's built like a running back. Will he run like one or more like a wide receiver? But it's all about the medical. And if you see Shenault slide beyond round 1, then you know the medical is the reason why. Now, I plan to do more NFL Combine videos throughout the week. We'll do winners and losers, I promise you guys as well. We did them for the Shrine Game, did them for the Senior Bowl. We'll do it for the Combine as well. So if you want that video, hit the big red button, subscribe, and make sure you've got notifications turned on. That way, you know exactly once those videos come out. All right, next up on the receiver side of things, Denzel Mims. There's going to be somebody who really impresses this year as a big body who runs well. I think that could be Denzel Mims this year. He's almost 6'3", 207, nice arm length, almost 34 inches, wingspan 78.5. He's a big guy with great body control. I think he's a good athlete too. I think he can put up some really fun numbers. Not quite the DK Metcalf level. That's a bit extreme. But I think Denzel Mims can solidify himself as a day 2 pick as part of a loaded wide receiver class. And there are a ton of guys I left off, by the way, that I'm sure we'll discuss at some point. If not, we'll do during the NFL draft, of course. Some others I want to mention. Brandon Ayuk got some medical questions that I want to see. Kind of a weird build. He's just under 6 foot, 205, but a massive wingspan. Do you make him into a slot? How does he win in the NFL? I'm just curious how he tests, but he's great after the catch. I'm intrigued by that. Jawan Jennings brings great size. He's bigger, actually, aside from his arm length, than Denzel Mims. But how does he test? I have some speed concerns. If he runs well, it can be a big boost for him. Lynn Bowden, of course, was the Wildcat quarterback for Kentucky, but I like him as a slot. Curious how he tests, how he handles interviews with that side. Malcolm Perry's a fun one because he's super small. He weighed in on Monday. He's 5'9.5", 186, and super small arms. Is he a receiver? Is he a running back? He's so small, he's not going to play quarterback in the NFL, but he's at the combine. I want to see how he tests. If he's fast enough, maybe he can get drafted. And then finally, T. Higgins. He showed up 6'3", 5'8", 216. Love the size. That's awesome size for T. Higgins. 81-inch wingspan. There are some speed concerns there. Just run below a 4.55. If he does that, I'll be happy. I know there are speed concerns around him. I think he can do that. I think he will do that. That wingspan, he's going to win jump balls. He's going to win along the sideline. There's a path for success in the NFL. I don't know why we're all hating on T. Higgins. At least some out there are hating on T. Higgins. Of course, the big thing for me at receiver is who's going to run faster. You got Jalen Reagor, who's got wheels out of TCU. He might run in the 4.3s. And then most importantly, Henry Ruggs, who has a legitimate chance to beat the John Ross alleged 40-yard dash mark. I still think Chris Johnson ran faster. Look at the simulcast they posted. So who will run faster, Reagor or Henry Ruggs? Cast your votes in the comment section. 1 for Reagor, 2 for Ruggs. I'm going to go with Henry Ruggs. I want to see if he can beat that 40-yard dash time set by John Ross, but you guys let me know what you think. And oh, by the way, if you want to bet on random combine prop bets, do it with BetDSI. Chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code you see on your screen, NFL120. It's chatsports.com/bet. That promo code, NFL120. Heck, you can also bet on the XFL as well. All right, on now to tight ends, because we spent a lot of time on receivers and backs and quarterbacks, my bad. Hunter Bryant, weighted at 248. I like that size for him. 2 things he must do. Number 1, check out medically. Knee injury in the left knee, fractured his back in high school. Let's see how he's doing there. If he flunks that, he's going to slide. He has to test well. He's not the biggest tight end out there. I thought 248 was, frankly, a little bit bigger than I thought he was going to check in at. He's not as freaky as Evan Ingram, but he has to test well. Otherwise, there's not going to be the same level of interest in him, I don't think. All right, Mekhi Becton is next up here, the offensive tackle out of Louisville. Curious what his size is. Just exactly. He is a massive human being. He's going to move so much better than you would ever think for a man his size. I'm excited to see that do that. Bobby Petrino once told a story of how you saw Becton do a reverse dunk in high school at like 300 pounds. Yeah, kind of a freak athlete right there. Other O-lineman, Tristan Wirfs, has some off-the-field stuff to address, namely DUIs underage at Iowa, but he's a great athlete. Trey Adams has all kinds of medical stuff to check out, and Sadiq Charles has to really explore and check out the suspension issues he faced at LSU. But talent-wise, he's pretty darn good. So who do you think will rise? Who will help their stock? Who will be the winner this year at the NFL Combine? There are always some, and we will do winners and losers, but let me know what you guys think in the comments section, because I think this guy, Neville Gallimore, could be one of the winners this year at the NFL Combine. From Canada, per Bruce Feldman, and I'm not convinced I believe this, Gallimore ran a 4.76 at 300 pounds at Oklahoma. To put that in perspective as to how I consider unbelievable that is, Geno Atkins ran a 4.75 sub 300. Aaron Donald ran a 4.68 at 285. Fletcher Cox ran a 4.79 at 298. A 4.76 at 300 pounds or more is just incredible. That weight adjustment is almost off the charts right there. Now, he wasn't that productive. He wins with quickness. I still have some concerns around Gallimore. If he runs that low, someone is going to take him in round one. I think there is room for somebody to sneak into round one amongst that defensive line group. So Gallimore makes sense on the names to watch out for. Ross Blacklock, maybe it's the kid from TCU, that's him. Jordan Elliott out of Missouri. Justin Matabuke out of Texas A&M. Marlon Davidson from Auburn. I don't think Leki Fotu gets in there, but I want to see how quickly he can run because he's another big body guy who's a good athlete. But I think Gallimore is the one to watch among those guys. All right, next up at the edge rusher spot, Caleb Chasen. There's some players like Bradley and Curtis Reaver that need to test not bad to help out their draft stock, but I just want to watch the freak. That's Chasen. 240-ish, he might run sub 4.5 and 5, like 40-inch vertical. Like, he's just an absolute freak athlete. I would not be surprised if we leave the NFL Combine, and despite the production not being great in terms of sacks, the pressure rates I thought were pretty damn good, though, from Chasen this year. Despite that, he might end up being edge number 2 off the board, maybe to a team like the Bucks over A.J. Epinesa. Now, the NFL Combine did change a little bit this year. It is heading to prime time. It is not going to be during the day like it's been the past couple of years. It is now in prime time. Adjust the schedule. We'll see how it works for us media guys there at the NFL Combine. But do you like this move? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I do, because it allows more of the casual fans to watch it. You're working on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You got stuff going on. You can't watch the Combine. Now that it's in prime time, makes it a little bit easier. But cast your votes for me in the comments section. All right, I'm going to another freak here. That is Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker from Clemson. I just can't wait to see how he breaks and doesn't fit any of the archetypes, and how his player comparisons from an athletic testing are going to be off it. Like, I'm just going to sit back and watch Isaiah Simmons, who listed as a safety, but I think we'll work with the linebackers too this week, just runs way too fast for his size, jump, and just break all kinds of crazy weight-adjusted marks. I cannot wait to see what he does. He is the biggest freak in this year's draft class. I can't wait to see him simply dominate the NFL Combine. All right, we've got all kinds of NFL gear on sale from our friends over at Fanatics. I am talking about hoodies. I am talking about t-shirts. I am talking about jerseys. Now, they're not always on sale, but they are available. I'm talking about hats. All kinds of stuff is out there. Up to 50% off, by the way. It's chatsports.com/NFL sale. Chatsports.com/NFL sale. Go check it out today. I'll put that link in the comments and the descriptions. All you guys got to do is click and go shop. All right, for me, and this might not be the one to pick, but in a good cornerback class, I think, that's muddled at the top beyond Jeffrey Okudah, I'm going to mention Bryce Hall. He has been the forgotten man at quarter now. He's not able to go through drills, but Bryce Hall's issue is medical. He had that really gruesome ankle injury, I think it was, in his senior year at Virginia, kept him out of the Senior Bowl. If the medical checks out, he could be a steal for a team in day 2 or maybe even an earlier round 4. He's not a great athlete. That's a big red flag, especially coming off the injury. But I like the fit of Bryce Hall here. Now, there are some other corners that I want to mention. Damon Arnett is one of them. I think he's a bit of a sleeper. I've heard some buzz about some off-the-field attitude type of stuff, but we'll see how the NFL teams do. So interviews a big deal there. Jeff Gladney's going to run really well. I think the Auburn corner is going to run really well because he's the son of 2 track athletes. Dude won 6 state titles in high school, by the way, for all kinds of jumps. Like, he's an absolute freak athlete. I think he's going to test really well. 2 guys I'm watching for on the, well, let's see how they do side. Trayvon Diggs, who I like out of Alabama, but he kind of has some speed concerns. And he never really showed off just how fast he could move, and he never had great makeup speed. If he runs in the 4.5s, I can't take that guy in round 1. that's going to be a bit of a red flag for me. And then Cameron Dantzler, who might have been a better pick than Bryce Hall, but I like Hall, so I wanted to go with him. He could be a big-time riser. He's got great size coming out of Mississippi State. If he can run quickly, which I think he has the potential to do, that will be appealing to NFL teams. They these days love long, lanky corners who can run. Cameron Dantzler might just fit that mold. All right, on now to safety. I am going with Grant Delpit. Look, I got some testing. I got some medical stuff that I want to figure out. Number one, how's that shoulder doing? It was banged up this year, bit last year. He's had an issue with it. The ankle was hurt this year too. He didn't tackle well. Is the medical why? And how does Grant Delpit respond to, hey, because NFL teams will grill him and test him, hey, how come you were a horrible tackler this year? How does Grant Delpit respond to that? And what's his reasoning for it? I am curious to see what word we get out of those interviews. And then I kind of see how he tests. I think he can be a single high guy, but you got to run sub 4.5 for that. I am not convinced that will end up being the case. And we'll see what happens, but that will be something that I certainly am going to watch out for this week at the NFL Combine. I wanted to spend more time on Ash Davis, but I do want to mention this as a news piece. He is not going to run. I am disappointed. He was going to run in the low 4.4s. He was a track star at Cal first and then played football. I am disappointed I don't get to see him run something like the 4.5 or 4.41 or something ridiculous there. Antoine Winfield, I want to see how he tests, but most importantly, medical has to check out for him. That has been a big-time issue. Lots of injuries at Minnesota. Then Kyle Duggar. I think he is going to blow up the Combine. I think he is a complete freak athlete, and I would not be that surprised if exiting this week at the Combine, if we hear a little bit of round one buzz around Kyle Duggar out of Lenoir-Rhyne. For those of you wondering about special teams, the answer is no. I don't value kickers or punters, so I'm not going to mention those on today's video.